Imagine this, it was a dark and stormy night. Lightning flashed across the sky, and thunder rumbled like a giant's roar. In a small, poorly lit room, a man sat hunched over a candle, his face etched with worry. This man was King Charles V of France, and he was about to make a decision that would change the course of history. King Charles V was only 41 years old, but he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. His queen, Jeanne de Bourbon, had just died after giving birth to their daughter, Catherine. The loss was devastating. Just a month later, the Pope, the Emperor, and his ally, King Enrique of Castile, also passed away. It was as if the world around him was crumbling, and Charles knew he had to act fast to secure the future of his kingdom. To understand why Charles felt so urgently, we need to go back a bit. For years, France had been in a state of turmoil. There were three main threats to the kingdom: Charles of Navarre, a persistent traitor, the Duke of Brittany, who had formed an alliance with England, and the ongoing war with England itself. Charles needed a strong, loyal, and capable ally to help him address these threats. That ally was Enguerrand, and the 7th Lord of Coucy, a man known for his strategic brilliance and unwavering loyalty. Coucy was tasked with a critical mission: drive Charles of Navarre out of Normandy once and for all. Charles of Navarre was a dangerous man, known for his treachery. He had already attempted to assassinate the Count of Foix, his brother-in-law, by giving his nephew a bag of poison disguised as a love potion. When the Count discovered the plot, he locked up his nephew and executed several of his household members. The nephew, Gaston, realizing his uncle's betrayal, refused to eat and eventually died from a tragic accident. This dark tale was just one of many that highlighted Navarre's willingness to go to extreme lengths to achieve his goals. To legally justify the campaign against Navarre, King Charles V used the fact that Navarre's two sons were under his custody. The boy's mother, the king's sister, had died, and Charles could claim guardianship over them. This allowed him to take control of Navarre's fiefs in Normandy, in the name of the young heirs. The final straw came when Navarre's chamberlain, Jacques de Roux, was caught trying to deliver letters to Navarre's sons, revealing a plot to poison the King of France. Under interrogation, de Roux confessed that Navarre planned to seize French strongholds along the Seine and open the door for an English invasion. This was enough to galvanize Charles into action. The king assembled an army and appointed Coucy and Bureau de la Rivière to lead the campaign. The two men were a perfect team. Coucy was a seasoned warrior and Rivière was a skilled diplomat. They were tasked with conquering Navarre's towns and castles, either by force or through negotiation. The young heirs were brought along to show that the war was being fought in their name, which helped persuade many of Navarre's subjects to switch their allegiance. The first major objective was the city of Beheadings, a strategic point near the coast where an English landing might be expected. Coucy and Rivière approached the city and warned the citizens that if they resisted, they would all be slaughtered. The threat worked, and the city surrendered after a 3-day truce. The French forces then moved on to other towns and castles, using a combination of force and persuasion to achieve their goals. One of the hardest-fought battles was at Évreux, the heart of Navarre's Norman possessions. The town was heavily fortified and manned by a strong garrison. Coucy and Rivière launched repeated assaults, and after a long and grueling siege, the town finally capitulated. The fall of Évreux was a significant victory, and the king himself came to Rouen to congratulate the victors. By the end of 1378, Charles of Navarre had lost all his estates in Normandy. His strongholds were razed to prevent them from being used against France in the future. Navarre, once a powerful and influential figure, was left with nothing but his small kingdom in the mountains, a far cry from the expansive domains he had once controlled. During the Normandy campaign, several famous knights joined the fight, including the good-tempered Louis, Duke of Bourbon, the energetic new admiral Jean de Vienne, and the fierce one-eyed Olivier de Clisson. Clisson, in particular, had a fascinating background. His father had been executed by King Philip VI for treason, and his mother had raised him with a deep-seated hatred for France. Clisson spent his early years in England, fighting against the French with incredible ferocity. However, he eventually switched sides, driven by a combination of material incentives and a growing disdain for the English. Clisson's transition to the French side was marked by a particularly brutal act of vengeance. When he learned that his squire had been killed by the English, he swore a terrible oath to show no mercy to any Englishman. He attacked an English stronghold, and, after capturing the remaining defenders, personally beheaded each one with a single blow of his axe. This act of savagery was a stark contrast to the more measured approach of Coucy, but the two men found a strange harmony in their partnership. The Normandy campaign was a turning point in the wider conflict. It not only secured Normandy for France, but also demonstrated the king's resolve to protect his kingdom. Charles V's strategic use of both military force and political persuasion, with the help of trusted allies like Coucy and Clisson, ensured that France would face the future with a stronger and more united front. In the end, the story of King Charles V and the Normandy campaign is a tale of leadership, loyalty, and the complex dynamics of medieval politics. It shows how, even in a time of great turmoil, a determined and strategic ruler could navigate the challenges and secure the future of his kingdom. For King Charles V, the victory in Normandy was a crucial step in his mission to leave France whole and at peace before he, too, departed from this world.